I have some notes. But let me be clear, this is not an anti-ACOTAR video. I love this series, but I think one of the most fun things about loving a story is being able to argue with it a little bit. Let's get to it. Question number 1. What is the difference between Tamlin locking Feyre in the house and Rhys binding her to spend 1 week a month at the Night Court for the rest of her existence? This is probably my biggest question, and I know the immediate answer people would give is intentions. Tamlin's actions stem from control, possessiveness, his own trauma, his need to protect Feyre from the myriad of things and people that would have her dead. Rhys's actions stem from wanting to save Feyre, give her space, give her freedom, give her a fuller life. And honestly, I don't think the difference here is that one of them means well and one of them doesn't. I think both of them, in very different ways, believe they're acting in Feyre's best interest. So for me, intentions kind of fall away, and I'm more interested in the consequences of their actions. In one case, Feyre is so negatively impacted by being locked in the Spring Court Manor that it is enough for her to flee her home and the one she loves, not just the one she loves, but the one she literally gave her life for, the one she died for, being literally imprisoned in the Spring Court, even for a short amount of time, would obviously surface the trauma that she experienced under the mountain. The cell, the lack of control, and especially the trial where the ceilings were literally closing in on her. Being trapped again makes total psychological sense as a breaking point. But then, in the other case, Feyre is also being acted upon against her will. She is trapped by a bargain with Rhys. Under the mountain, he held her survival over her head in order to get her to agree to that bargain. He refused to help her unless she made this bargain that she desperately did not want to make. And then every month she is literally winnowed away against her will to the Night Court. And to me, that should also feel reminiscent of the horrors under the mountain. Not only because it's coercive, but because Under the Mountain was full of bargains and forced terms. Feyre made a bargain with Amarantha, the free trials, to save Tamlin. So it would make sense to me that being forced into a magical agreement and then being transported against her will to a place that she doesn't want to be would also surface some of that trauma. But it doesn't, not really. It angers her, irritates her, she's frustrated, she's annoyed, she lashes out, and then it eventually becomes the route through which she falls in love with Rhys. And I know I'm oversimplifying things. I know the Night Court is different experientially. Once she's there, she has more room, more autonomy, more purpose. But I still feel an inconsistency because if the story is going to be psychologically grounded, if the character's own justifications and internal world are supposed to dictate where we as readers land, then I don't think I can just fully ignore the fact that both situations involve coercion. Both situations involve Feyre being put into a situation against her will. Both involve a man deciding that he knows what's best, that he knows what's necessary. Both involve protection being used to justify overriding her autonomy. I'm not saying Tamlin and Rhys are the same. I'm saying the story wants me to experience one act of control as a violation and the other as somehow a pathway to healing and love. Second question. Why don't we forgive Tamlin for his trauma? This is one of the questions I keep on circling, because ACOTAR is actually full of traumatized characters. Elaine, Nesta, Feyre, Rhys, more. All of them are warped by pain in different ways. And the story gives them room for that. It lets them be difficult. It lets them be damaged. It lets them hurt people or withdraw or lash out or become distorted by what they've been through and still remain forgivable. But Tamlin feels different. To be fair, Rhys does handle his trauma better in a lot of ways. He eventually lets Feyre in. He lets his inner circle in, at least sometimes. He doesn't respond to fear by trying to confine Feyre or make her smaller in the way Tamlin does. And that difference matters. But I still think the question has legs because Tamlin is one of the only major characters whose trauma seems to be disqualifying. His fear, control, and temper just make him flawed. They make him feel, in the logic of the story, unforgivable. And I keep wondering why. Why do we forgive Nesta for cruelty born of pain? Why do we forgive Elaine for passivity? Why do we forgive Rhys for the way his suffering turns him into a martyr who makes unilateral decisions for everyone else? But Tamlin's trauma becomes the end of the road. And maybe the answer is that Rhys's damage still leaves room for Feyre to grow, while Tamlin shuts her down. His trauma expresses itself through rage and control rather than withdrawal, secrecy, or self-sacrifice. I think all of that is true. But even so, ACOTAR extends compassion to so many damaged people and seems much less interested in extending it to Tamlin. It's almost convenient. If you disagree with me, please tell me. Seriously, I would love to hear the counter-argument. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.